Midlife, I affectionately call midlife the circus. Welcome to the circus, because everything starts getting a little bit crazy. And I was like, enter the clowns. Midlife does not have to be the circus. It is somewhat expected to be. So there is, I'm afraid, the average weight gain on a lady is 30 pounds. As she approaches and deals with midlife, I'm not sure what it is for guys. I'm sure it's somewhat similar. It is somewhat normalized and accepted. It's somewhat thought that once we get to midlife, it's downhill from now on. My body's going to change. I'm going to gain weight. I'm going to look worse. I'm going to be tired. I'm going to be, and how does that impact our life? So that impacts our life by all of a sudden we're kind of invisible, like we're not part of society. We're kind of not relevant anymore. Maybe we're not relevant in our industry, or this is how we can perceive ourselves. And just that there's no going back. I'm here to tell you that is absolutely not the case. And it drives me crazy that it is somewhat normalized and accepted that we have this massive change, body composition change as we approach midlife and beyond. It's simply not the case. So I'm here to not just tell you that, but I will explain why. So by the end of this video, you will not only see the possibility, you will understand the probability of life just getting better as we get older. Yes, there are changes, but they're not the ones that we think. So how we show up in the world. We love to blame hormones. Oh, my hormones are messed up, based on nothing whatsoever, right? Or, oh, my metabolism's crushed. Well, I've got news for you, right? So I actually check metabolism. See that machine there? And I very, very, very rarely ever see somebody with a low metabolic rate. It's only chronic diet is where I see that. And even then we can fix it. So we blame hormones and we blame our metabolism. So the news there is they've done plenty of studies on this, and metabolism, it stays pretty steady through midlife, doesn't go down, okay? The hormone thing. Oh, my hormones are changing. Yes, they are. But there are two hormones, insulin and cortisol, which are the big body composition hormones, and we have control over those. So, and we blame the hormones, but really we know that's not really true, right? Because and when I say we, I'm not talking about you, I'm talking generally. Because somebody that's blaming the hormones, the metabolism, and for one, it's kind of an excuse, right? And you know what excuses? Excuses just justify poor results. End of story. And don't make us any happier. But we all know that person that's the same age as us, or they're a little bit older than us, and they're in great shape. And we're as smart as them. We work just as hard as them. And we go to the social events that they go to. So how are they looking like that? How are they happy, energetic, and looking like that all the time? And I'm not. Right? So we know their hormones are changing. We know that's not absolutely the truth, right? What's going on? And we also, the conversation is, well, when I was younger, oh gosh, if I just dieted a few days and exercised, I lost weight. Yes, you did. Yeah, many people. Not so much anymore, but yes, that used to be the case. Like, oh, I could drink a Diet Coke, get by on 3 hours sleep, do a bit of cardio, starve myself, lost weight. It's great. Okay. Heard that a lot. It doesn't happen like it's so much harder as we get older. It's so much more difficult to lose weight. It must be my hormones, must be my metabolism. It's not. What happens as we get older? What happens as we are on this planet more years? We get sicker. That's what's going on. There's a general conversation piece. We get sicker. To lose weight, to change our body composition, it's not a diet, it's not a this. We have to get unsick. So the doctors, and I love doctors, it's just we think that we want to rely on them for everything, right? Doctors of medicine, right? Stop blaming them. But doctors are treating symptoms and calling them diseases. So diabetes, high blood pressure, heart disease, Insulin resistance, they're treating these as diseases, the disease of diabetes. These are symptoms of a sick body. So we're treating the symptoms, we're not treating the actual problem. Years gone by, what did we die of? We died of infectious diseases. We died of, I don't know, malaria. We died of bubonic plague, leprosy, HIV, all of which are infectious diseases. Now people are dying of strokes, high blood pressure, heart disease, diabetes. They're dying of avoidable dysfunction of energy burning, I guess you would call it. But we're not dying of infectious diseases. We're dying of things that are preventable. And not just dying, we're ruining our quality of life for maybe decades before we actually pass. So when we're trying to lose weight as we get older, we have to look at where we're at. And although when I say sick, it might not be like you've got a little label like, oh, I'm sick. And maybe your blood work actually looks pretty good. But, and as we're going to discuss in future videos, I'm going to explain how the body can, in fact, be sick. And when you're sick, it's good luck getting on a diet. So we've been distracted. Our eyes not being on the ball. We've got into this very emotional debate of keto, carnivore, plant-based, eat meat, don't eat meat, do this, do that, do this, do that, instead of just focusing on the quality of our food. The 600-pound elephant in the room is the quality of the food that we eat. So look at, say, I'm thinking of my grandmother. Okay, she baked with sugar, she ate butter, she didn't have a gym membership, but she walked everywhere. She was not obese. Okay, think about a generation or two back, maybe even 3 back, and people in midlife didn't gain. Like some people did. There's always the outlier, but most people did not gain. Go back to the 50s or something. They didn't gain 30, 40, 50 plus pounds in midlife, and it wasn't accepted and it wasn't normalized. Okay. And maybe it wasn't judged either, thankfully. They didn't. Right? What happened between then and now? What's happened is a lot of good things, but turned into bad things. So the microwave happened, refrigeration happened, transportation happened, food processing improved. The food industry really blew up. The fast food industry didn't get going until the late 60s. I was born in 67 in the north of England. I didn't really see it till I was a teenager. Thankfully, by then I was training and competing. So I was kind of taken out of that line of fire. But the food became more and more processed. So you can be doing keto and eating crap. You can be doing low carb and eating crap. You could be, so we've got to get back to being, to get the body composition, we have to get ourselves unsick. And the first thing that we do, just hung up on my husband. The first thing we do is look at the quality of the food that we eat. Now, we're going to go into a lot more detail, but think about this. We have eating processed food. Processed food is high in sugar, high in fructose. What happens with fructose is it goes straight to the liver. It burdens the liver, right? When the liver is burdened, the liver is meant to make fat. It's not meant to store fat. The liver now starts storing fat. When the liver starts storing fat, that leads to insulin resistance. If you've got insulin resistance, weight loss is going to be very, very difficult. Insulin resistance leads to anabolic resistance. Anabolic resistance is we are now losing muscle. We can't feed the muscle because the muscle is resistant. We can't get nutrients to it. Now we're losing muscle. Also can lead to leptin resistance, ghrelin problems. Now we don't know when we're full, we're eating too much. Overburdening the liver caused that. Processed foods going to the gut, an irritant. Leaky gut. We're going to get into more detail on this. Leaky gut. Food goes into the blood system in a undigested state. Toxins are getting traveled to the liver. The liver again is getting overburdened. If the liver is getting overburdened, we get a fatty liver. Fatty liver means a fatty pancreas. The fatty pancreas releasing too much insulin. We've got insulin resistance. You can't. It's going to be very, very challenging to lose weight with insulin resistance. But if you look at your blood work, the doctor might say there's no problem. Do you know what your fasted insulin is? Is that on your blood work? most people, it is not. So I'm giving you a synopsis here, right? Just a little overview, all of which we're going to go into. So yeah, weight loss gets harder with age because we get sicker with age. Why do we get sicker? How do we get sick? Let's think about fat storage for a second, right? So fat is meant to be stored, excess energy, fat, is meant to, excess fat is meant to be stored in adipose tissue. Adipose tissue, fat cells, that's where it's meant to be stored. The liver and the muscle and the liver is meant to store excess energy. So if we have glucose can go to the muscle and it can be stored, excuse me, as energy in the muscle, right? It can be, a little bit can be stored in the liver as energy. Right? So energy should be stored in the muscle and should be stored in the liver. Fat should be stored in adipose tissue, fat cells. That's what it's meant to be. Right? So it could be subcutaneous fat on your skin. It could be visceral fat. We'd rather not have too much of it, but it could be that. When we start storing fat in places it's not meant to be, we call it ectopic fat. So when we start storing fat in the liver, when we start storing excess fat in the muscles, this is not where fat is meant to be. And now we're getting into, should I say disease state, or let's just say a compromised state. So when we get excess fat being stored in places it's not meant to be, that is indeed a problem. I mean, the most predictive indicator of diabetes is actually fat in the liver. And when you get people that start to maybe a healthy eating plan, and they're not losing weight at first. Well, they're insulin resistant. They're not going to be losing weight at first. They're not losing weight at first, but like, wow, I feel kind of better. I feel kind of, you know, I'm not, scale's not moving, but I'm feeling better. They're probably losing fat from the liver. Okay, and they're becoming healthier. So the misconception is we get sick and then we get fat. Right? Sorry, we get fat and then we get sick. But the truth is we get sick, then we get fat. So I got that the wrong way around. The thought is that we get fat, then we get sick, but it's actually the other way around. I had to think about that myself then. Fatty liver, you wouldn't know unless you knew what to look for on your blood work. So we're definitely going to cover that. But if we want to really go through the chain, leaky gut by eating irritants, low fiber diet, high sugar, especially high sugar. Leaky gut leads to the liver being overburdened. Now we get fat being stored in the liver. It's not meant to do that. So now we have fatty liver disease, usually linked to alcoholics, but now we have non-alcoholic fatty liver disease. Hey there, Cindy. Which is then going to lead to insulin resistance. Insulin resistance is not low levels of insulin, it's actually high levels of insulin. If we've got high levels of insulin, good luck losing weight. Insulin resistance is very much linked to leptin resistance. Leptin resistance is our appetite regulators, also with ghrelin. And now we don't recognize when we're full. We're eating when we don't need to. We're overeating and we don't know why. Also linked to anabolic resistance. Anabolic resistance meaning that the muscle is resistant and we're not able to get nutrients in it. So we're losing muscle with age. And that's just one reason we're losing muscle with age. All started with the quality of food we were eating. All started with leaky gut because of maybe the processed foods that we're eating. All started because of the overeating that's maybe coming with leptin resistance and the liver just can't keep up. We are sick. We have to become unsick. That is why things get more difficult with weight loss is perceived as being more difficult as we get older, because the more years we're on this planet, we are in more of a, I won't say disease state, but over time, these functions of energy burning and fat storage and where it is, for most people are becoming very problematic. And just going on a diet, for one, it's going to be pretty hard if you're insulin resistant, but you're just not going to get those results straight away. And if you don't understand what's actually going on, then we just don't get compliance. Compliance is why diets work and why diets fail, right? And if you're not getting results and you're trying really hard, the chances are you're going to quit. Can't blame you. My coaching is to explain what's going on so that we do have compliance. So for the purpose of this video, I wanted to explain what's going on as a little overview of body composition in midlife. And well, approaching midlife, and beyond midlife. And we do the frustration of not, things aren't working the same anymore. What worked before isn't working now. And then kind of quitting and kind of giving up to it because it's kind of normalized and accepted, but that doesn't make you happy, right? And you're always looking at the person that's kind of seems to have mastered it out, and you're as good as them. So what's going on there? We need to take a closer look, and rather than cherry picking these diets and this and this and this, we have to look at our overall health and actually optimizing that. And you know, that doesn't necessarily mean that your blood drug's going to say you're ill. You know, your doctor might say, yeah, you all look good. You have to take a closer look. We have to become unsick if we are going to master midlife.